Well, hello everyone. I'm John McLeroy, and I'm one of your hosts with the Florida Aviation Network. And it's my pleasure to be here with you this morning as we broadcast live and in the clear from the Aerospace Discovery. We're in the Florida Air Museum at the Sun and Fun Complex in Lakeland, Florida. We're here at the 44th annual Sun and Fun Fly-In and Exposition. And what a fantastic day we're having here. It's on a Saturday, glorious Central Florida afternoon in mid-April. So if you're interested in flying or even know someone, or just come on down. This is a great day to be here at the Sun and Fun Complex. And everybody's having a good time. Everybody's flying in or flying out or flying around. There's so much flying to do, but not just in the air, also on the ground. People are hangar flying. There's vendors and air show performers are meeting and greeting. People are having a good time. There's food, there's vendors. You can buy anything you want around here concerning airplanes. And so it's just a great day to be out here with the Central Florida crowds and being around pilots, being around airplanes, being around people. So I want to introduce you to one of my next guests. This is Steve Larmore from Stallion 51. How are you doing?
Doing real good.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome to Sun and Fun.
I can't wait to talk with you and share what I know a little bit about what you do, but we want to share that with all our viewers this morning. And so let's get right into it. You know, Stallion 51, Kissimmee, right there at the intersection of 15 and 24, right? The approach ends. So there are these three hangars, and in one special hangar is your baby. Tell me a little bit about what, take it from there. Phil, how about that intro? You know,
yeah,
take it from there, man.
It's good.
What you got?
I've been associated with Fang, our T6, for a long time. I started out working on it, and I was a part-time instructor because we had a full-time instructor in the airplane. So I've been taking care of that airplane for a long time. I'm a mechanic and an IA as well.
Is that how you started?
You
started fixing it?
They hired me to work on that T6
okay.
part-time. And then they put me to work on a P-38 project for a while. And then I became the backup instructor in the T6 because I already had 4,000 hours in the airplane.
Wow.
And most of it in the back seat.
Wow, wow. Well, we'll get to that in a minute because I want to hear a little bit about the beginning of your flying career. So we'll get to that, so keep going.
In high school. Got my private pilot's license in high school. Hate to say how old I am, but been flying for 40-some years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we were talking off camera just a little bit ago, and you know, if we're kind of alike in that regard. If we're not on the ground looking up, we're trying to figure out a way to get back in the air again, right?
That's
even
right.
on a day off. So, well, tell me a little bit about what's it like to be you in any one given day. So you're driving to work, you're getting ready to do a day of training, right? Would you say that training is your specialty, or
yeah, I'm an instructor in the
You wear
Texan.
many hats.
Instructor in the Mustang. I'm also an A&P mechanic, and I'm the IA at work too.
Okay.
So, and I also push a broom every once in a while. You know, you got to do it all.
I have a type rating on a broom.
Is that right?
Yeah, I certainly do. You know,
I was always surprised I was still pushing a broom at 60.
You know, one of the funny things that you'll see here at some of these vendors, I've seen some of these parts guys. They actually have plastic baggies for $6 full of what would be on the hangar floor after they swept up, you know, which is actually kind of cool because there's all kinds of little things in there.
Well, I can give them a lot of that stuff because I collect it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get back into it. You know, as an instructor preparing for your day, what's it like to pull into the parking lot, you know, get out, walk through the hangar door, and there you are. Let's walk it through from there.
Well, you've been thinking about it, having usually met the student beforehand, but during the week, for example, you start on Monday, and if you've got a checkout guy, he's going to be there all week. So,
a checkout guy. So that's a type of student, right? So you do checkouts. What are the other kinds of student profiles that you see coming through?
Our orientation flights.
There you go. That's one.
You can do a 1 hour, a half-hour orientation flight.
Wow.
And it's really dual instruction. It's not like a ride. It's not like a barnstorming thing.
No, you guys, you don't give rides. I've never seen a ride.
No, we let them fly the airplane. We make them fly the airplane. And in the case of the Texan, we put them right in the front seat. It's relatively simple. They do have to raise and lower the gear in the Texan. So you give them a pretty good briefing. But briefing's a big part of this, you know. It's all about safety. Everything is safety oriented. So give them a good thorough briefing, parachute briefing before they get to go. and then you start getting them familiar with the T6.
We're going to come back to safety because that's not just a buzzword, or that's just not a loose word with you guys.
That's where it starts.
In fact, you author a lot of the nuggets, a lot of the issues. You've invented the techniques and technologies for bringing that out. So I know I'm talking a little bit, but we'll loop back into that in just a second. So you've got the orientation rides. Now you've got you said transition, you've got a transition guy. How long is that course? So you've got 30-minute, 1 hour, and then you've got the guys who are trying to get trained up.
Yeah, that's a 10 to 12 hour thing.
And how long does that take in days? That's not
you
just
can do it in 4 days. You probably want to plan for a week. And it depends on the individual.
Right.
A lot of these guys aren't bringing a whole lot of tail dragger time to the table. And as you know, the Texan is not a good basic tail dragger trainer.
Right.
It's one of the tail draggers you want to have some time in tail draggers when you get to the Texan.
Awesome.
It's not that good a basic tail dragger trainer.
So you learn what those two things attached to your ankles are.
And that's the hard part. You know, especially for people who aren't used to using their feet.
Those aren't foot straps.
That's right.
Right. Those aren't
footrests.
Your new boots. New pair of tennis shoes. That is not what's going on down there.
And timing is important. And the thing about the Texan is, especially when the tail comes down, the Texan it's a nice flying airplane. It's one of the best flying airplanes out there. It has been for decades. But on landing, when the tail comes down, the rudder gets blanked out. Right. Especially if you've got a lot of flap. The flaps go right under the center section, right? You got full flap, you put the tail down, you're going to lose some rudder effectiveness.
Yeah.
And you better be ready for that.
Yeah.
And you've got to develop the timing.
Right.
So on final, as you touch down, you're probably doing this with the rudders, right?
The dance.
Once the tail comes down, you're doing this with the rudders.
You're always dancing.
A lot.
Yeah.
You got to keep it straight.
Wonderful. And blanking is actually becoming an issue across the spectrum of training these days.
Yeah.
We're getting into some advanced airplanes that don't, I like what you're getting at. I think what you're saying is, it's a beautiful, sweet airplane to fly. But when you take an airplane and you become a terrestrial-bound airplane,
that's right.
That's a vehicle that's no longer very well tamed.
That's right.
It has some bad
not
habits.
Very stable on the ground.
No stability, right?
Way.
It becomes a stability issue, doesn't it? So let me hear a little bit about that. So a T6 Texan, if you're training them, is it positively pitch stable and like really nice in pitch?
It flies like a light plane. For a 5,500-pound airplane, it flies. It's got big ailerons, big control surfaces.
Right.
It's got a pretty good roll rate.
So good. What kind of roll rate? What would it be? Is it like a Cessna, a Piper? Would it
I'd
be
say more
equivalent?
like a Cessna. It's about a 4 or 5 second aileron roll.
That's pretty quick.
So it's got a lot of aileron.
Not sluggish.
It goes around, yeah.
Yep. And so, and then how about? So that's roll. Does it like to adverse yaw when you roll?
It's got more adverse yaw than most, but it's not a steerman either. It's not a biplane or a glider.
Okay.
So you're using less rudder.
Right.
And that's what you have to teach these guys right up front. What is the rudder requirement, right? When you're rocking the wings, if you want to keep the ball in the middle, how much rudder does it take?
Yeah.
The more aggressive you are with the aileron, the more deflection you get, the more rudder you're going to need.
Yeah.
So,
that's
and
good
you got to
dual.
get their feet working.
Well, that sounds like a whole module to me in your ground school. I mean, is that the number one? In terms of, I just want to hear it from you. What's it like to be a guy who comes in? Is that where they have the trouble, and is that where they have the breakthrough in their flying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And there's going to be what the learning, you're an instructor, right? You know what the learning curve looks like.
I do.
They're going to plateau, and it's going to be on Thursday afternoon, and they're going to be really disappointed in their performance because they've hit this place where they either level off or go down a little bit.
Pilots are so hard on themselves.
They are.
It's amazing, right?
It really frustrates them that they're not doing better that day.
Yes. I
just tell them to relax, come back tomorrow, you're going to do really good.
So I have a term for that. I call it marinating, and I lay it out to them. I say, listen, it's not. First off, we task load you on purpose.
That's right.
As instructors,
That's
I think that's what you're going to talk about too. Is we're pushing you down so that it's like a gym trainer.
Exactly.
This is not supposed to look good on day one, right?
Exactly.
And you haven't used those feet before.
No, and they haven't. There's a whole lot of techniques that you have to teach them. especially if they're not used to flying an airplane with the seat in the center, on the center line, right? 182 pilot, he's always looking down the left side of the cowling. Well, you've got to change that. You've got to teach him how to fly the airplane from the center.
Love it. And then, so they get that day one out of their way, and they were, you know, a little hard on themselves. It doesn't matter how well they did, it's just how they feel about how well they did.
It's great for humbling them. You know, if they bring any ego or arrogance in, the first day takes it out of them. It's easy.
I love it because I have a saying, and I told this to your friend KT Jones, and I say there's two things I hate in aviation. One is serving humble pie as an instructor, but the other is eating humble pie because I don't like the taste.
You better be humble.
Yeah.
You can humble people in the Texan just taxiing, because if you understand the system, you unlock the tail wheel to turn tight.
With the braking and
with the braking.
And let it
Now, when it's
swivel.
locked, when the stick is back here,
Yeah.
this is a coordination thing you have to learn.
Right.
You're using the rudders. You can just steer it with the rudders.
With thrust. And
No,
it has
just
steer.
just
Okay,
the
it's
got a
still
steerable
connected.
tail wheel.
Still steering.
But if you want to turn tight, you have to unlock it,
I see.
and now all of a sudden the tail wheel's on its own. And the airplane loves to change direction. So you teach them to unlock it, and then they have to use power because it's got to be moving forward when it's unlocked to steer.
Yeah.
You're using the brakes.
Yeah.
Well, it takes a while to figure that out. That will humble
I
them.
bet. You know, taxiing, I personally would spend about an hour on the ground. I would take a tour of.
That's what we do.
I'd take a left on Charlie and
That's
cross
what we
over
do.
15,
We've got a nice
go up
area
Bravo.
down there where we get them to do donuts
Could
and
I
just
borrow
lock and unlock
the
the
end
airplane.
of 1.5, you know,
That's
please?
right. That's
Absolutely.
right. If it's necessary. Some of them
perfect.
pick it up pretty good.
I don't know. You know, I hate looking bad, but I hate eating humble pie.
It's just a skill you have to learn, and they all recognize that.
Well, is yaw stable or unstable to a point? Is it a stable?
It's very good in y'all
So it actually
until
comes
the
back
tail
on its
comes
own.
down.
So again, there we are back to.
Oh, you're talking about on the ground?
Well, no, I mean in flight. Actually, when
okay.
you come off the ground and then you're flying, is it a neutral?
You fall right in love with it.
All right.
It's a lot lighter than you expect it to be. It's a very well balanced airplane.
So are you banging your head when they go, hey, this is working pretty good?
Yeah.
Do you wear a helmet?
Yeah. We do.
That's pretty
But
cool.
again, that's a safety aspect. You know, there's a lot of big birds flying around Florida.
Yeah.
And they'll come right through the prop arc. So a helmet and a visor is a good idea in Florida. We do that in the Mustangs as well. I suggest people do it all the time.
I just had a bird strike, and it's no fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they make a big dent, and those are not small wingspans.
No.
A Florida turkey buzzard around here is 6 foot tip
That's
to
right.
tip.
I've taken a few of them out,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
they'll do some damage.
Certainly will. Yeah, we're in the Jets in Wichita right now as we speak.
There you go.
For that very same reason.
Well,
So,
let's cover that real quick. We teach, don't try to avoid a buzzard. He's going to avoid you better than you're going to avoid him. He can move a lot quicker.
I've got a comment about that, but yeah, I understand. I'm with you.
I mean, statistically, you're better off just flying through them and letting them get out of the way, okay?
I've got a story on that because I'm a hang glider pilot too, and I've thermaled with
really?
buzzards many, many times.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be at 5,000 feet, about a mile off the ground, thermaling with several hundred of their brothers. You know, as you're just.
I'm a glider guy. I do the same thing.
You know, and you do the same thing, right?
Oh,
They're looking at you. You're looking at them, and you're thinking, "There's no reason they should be up here. We're all having a good time." I swear, birds are having as much fun as we are.
And they know you're there.
Yeah.
You know?
They know you're there,
exactly
sure.
where you are.
There you are, therming along, and I've always seen them dive. You know, typically
they're going
they'll
to dive. When you startle them, they're
Yeah.
going to fold up and dive, and that's the danger. If they're right above you, they're probably, if they dive, they might hit the airplane.
So in this particular instance, he was in a left-hand turn, and I said to myself, he's getting ready to roll down and dive. And you know what? This is the first time I've seen this in 38 years. He pulled up and rolled to the right, and dove into the windscreen. Yeah, it was crazy.
I had one on downwind at Kissimmee, hit the leading edge of the right wing. He just dove into it.
Yeah, bird strikes. Now, what's great is let's segue that into emergencies and training. Because there's a certain level of okay. So now we've had a scenario, and that's something you guys work on. I was leading into this for a reason. So being confident about your flying skills but being able to handle those kinds of emergencies and things like that, that's part of the safety that you guys are actually really known for.
Before they even get there, they should know the emergency procedures. We send out a training package with all of our Stallion procedures. A lot of it's a little bit different from the flight manuals, but we send them the flight manual as well. And they should know by rote, by memory, the emergency procedures.
You've got some memory items and some limitations, so that
That's right.
You need to know that before you get there, huh?
That's right. It's a big part of it.
That's really cool. So, as a student, so you've got this whole this whole role of you've got to play the student. You just can't show up and go do me.
That's right.
There's
I
no
had
such thing.
had a guy in a Mustang, came up from Italy, and he put the training package on the desk when he showed up, and he said, "Tell me what I need to look at." We sent him home.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not ready. Sorry.
I've fired my students as well. I agree. That's not the right attitude, right? Because you need to be you have to play the student and be involved in your training. This is not you're not pulling up and getting a soft drink at a store and going, okay, how much do I owe you? That's not what's going on here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's walk through a flight regime. What's it like to go out for, let's say we're going out to do some maneuvers. So you've got some primary, climbs, turns, and descents. That's as basic as any primary
Give you
training.
A scenario.
I want to hear about
Mad
this.
Dog scenario.
Mad Dog.
Yeah, right.
What? We've got names for scenarios?
That's what I call it. I teach them Mad Dog tricks. That's my nickname.
Can you teach an old dog a new trick?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Climb out. They're flying the airplane. We teach them how to climb it out. And to get out from under Orlando's airspace, you know all about that. We go out to the southwest. Level off, trim for level flight, find cruise power.
What a concept.
Steep level turn. It takes a while.
Sure.
It takes a while for them to get the airplane trimmed up.
45 or 60 degree banks?
I like 60,
Yep.
but anything over
Bring
45 is considered steep, and it
Sounds
depends
good.
on the individual. Steep level turns, which are also clearing turns,
Yeah.
if you think about it. You're going this way all the way around, you're going that way all the way around. And you're pulling a couple of G's at 60 degrees bank.
2 exactly.
Yeah. How many G's are you pulling at a 70 degree bank?
I think it's 2.7.
That's 3. No, that's 3 G's.
Is it 3?
Yeah. In the book, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that surprised me.
You haven't flown with me.
Yeah. Well, we will.
I'm at 58
We
degrees.
will.
But I like where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Students of flying, when you're at the level of just learning to fly private pilot, you work your way through, you go into some faster airplanes.
That's primary stuff.
Come over to the T6 and take that type of flying.
That's right.
Get with you.
Or gliders, or float planes,
No,
or aerobatic airplanes. Do something extra. Keep learning.
I think it's coming down to Stallion 51.
Right.
I think that's absolutely the way to
this
go.
is the best training I've ever had. It's the best place, some of the best instructors I've ever seen.
Let's hear a story about
It's
that.
great.
So here you are, a student of Stallion 51 yourself.
Yes.
You've got this goal. You love being around them. You can feel it. You want to be a part of that team, but you still have to become this. You have to be the student.
That's right. That's right.
Give me a student story that you were there, and and then I want to hear the instructor side of that too. A story that you had. Give me something.
Well, in this case, I had so many hours in the T6 doing almost exactly the same kind of thing. Most of my time in the T6 is in the back seat as an instructor, Right now, I'm approaching 5,000 hours.
Wow.
So I've been doing a lot of this.
That's dual given too.
So when I got into the briefing room with Lee, which there's a lot of briefing, there's a lot of lecturing, there's always briefing and debriefing for a flight.
Yeah.
Military style. You really get a lot accomplished doing that.
Just glad to be here.
Just glad to be here, exactly. I was amazed at how similar his brief was to my Texan brief. I kind of
didn't know it at the time.
No, I kind of slid in because, and I think he recognized this when he hired me, is that I've been doing so much of this. We've been doing the same thing in different airplanes, but he's at a whole different level than I am. Some of these guys, I consider myself a good instructor, but these guys are the top.
So there you are. And you're humbled, as it were.
Right away.
I don't hate to use that word or overuse it, but yeah. So you got the briefing, and you went out and you started flying. What did you learn what was that moment where you were like, wow, I landed out, and you just went, I didn't know that, and I totally got it.
There was a whole lot of those. There was a whole lot of them, especially when I got to the Mustang. When I trained in the Mustang, it's an entirely different animal in pitch. It's not unstable in pitch.
It's just sensitive.
It's sensitive. It reacts quickly. It's
induce
not light on the
oscillations?
controls. No, it's stable, but it's hard to find the pitch attitude. It's nose low when you're in cruise flight.
Right.
When you're climbing at 180 knots, the nose is on the horizon, and that screws people up mentally. You know,
Right.
they're used to a certain picture.
Well, you have to look at, if you go to a Mustang and you look at the angle of incidence along the center line of the fuselage, and then you look at the horizontal stab, that'll actually give you a clue. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Now, it's not on the test. It's just something you can observe.
So it's not our test.
That's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. So that's awesome. You had this insight about pitch attitude and the sensitivity.
Right away.
So you got that insight. You land out and you go, geez, I didn't know.
I was that. My first flight in a Mustang, it was the hardest thing for me to learn. Now, and you got to understand, this is where I come from.
Right.
I come to a specialist in high-performance tail draggers, you know, and biplanes and aerobatic airplanes.
Right.
I've got 15,000 hours, and I've turned on an autopilot once and turned it right back off. It's all hands-on.
You should try that autopilot thing a little more often. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, for cross-country stuff.
Do you know why? You can reach back with your coffee cup and you can, shoot a little juice in there and,
Jetmen.
I'm just saying,
need autopilot.
It's fun. Hey, I hand fly to 180 on most days. So
you should keep your hand in doing
right,
that.
You definitely do that, right? And I'm not drinking coffee. So the moment that you had that instructor, give me an instructor side of it where you were like, I hadn't seen this yet.
That happens all the time. As an instructor, you're still learning how to instruct. And every new student is teaching you something different.
Boy, that's a truth.
And you just keep learning. And if you're not willing to do that, you're just a know-it-all. You're not really going to be able to teach them anything. And they're all different. I was surprised at the psychological aspect of instructing. I never wanted to be an instructor.
Right.
Right.
And you didn't really think about the psych side of it.
The challenge is how do I reach this guy or girl? How do I teach them something? And they're all completely different. So you're working this out the whole time.
You and I have a common friend, Don Laughlin. Don's a check airman in the Sea Ray, a designated examiner. I'm a student. A teaching guy, and we have this conversation all the time because we've been training for many, many years. And every time, just when you thought you had seen it all, you I call Don, he calls me and he says, guess what? I hadn't seen this one.
Exactly.
I just
it's funny.
Couldn't believe it.
We all do that. We debrief as instructors too. We're all flying the same airplanes, except there's only a couple of us flying the T6. But if something unusual happens, something different, and Lee has close to 10,000 hours in a Mustang, he will eventually, every once in a while, get all the pilots together. We have regular safety meetings and sit down and go, well, I haven't seen this before.
That's the part I was talking about earlier.
Later.
Safety's that's not just the buzzword of the day. This is the real thing. It's the way they're being about safety.
That's right.
That is the distinction. I know this is true for Stallion 51 as an organization. I embrace it personally and professionally. I love hearing about that. So there you are debriefing, and it's on your it's like confession.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Sometimes it's like they're picking on you, right? And you've got to have a thick skin here because you're learning from these mistakes that you've made, and they're sitting around the table and it's your turn in the barrel, So, but it's all constructive, productive. It's good stuff.
It's really good stuff. I love it. So are you looking forward to 2018? I know you guys have just had one of the most productive years. Last year, 2017, it was off the charts in terms of
our
30th year, the reunion with all the B-51s here last year at Sun and Fun. I know you were part of that, and the T6 as well.
As much as they would like to slow down certain aspects of this business, it is not.
It's accelerating, isn't it?
That's right.
How about all the channels, with, you've got so many things going on in Stallion 51. Give me the highlights of so you've got Doc's over there, and you've got
Doc,
the T6. And, tell me a little bit.
And I got to tell you, Doc is one of the special guys. If you've got issues to try to get your medical back or something like that, Doc will go to bat for you. He's also an eye guy. He was an eye surgeon in the Navy.
Wow.
Right? And a pilot at the same time. So he can take care of your eyes, but it's a big aspect of it. The L-39, we've got an upset training
Love that.
course. That airplane, and I'm not a jet guy, I'm not much of an instrument guy, I'm a VFR guy. That has got to be the best platform for upset training for corporate guys or airline guys that I've ever seen.
I think it's really important to do that, Steve, and there's nothing like going high and upside down.
And it happens.
And you're an aerobatic guy.
Well, Patty Wagstaff's got a quote that I love. I got to throw this at you. You're going to like this one. There are no unusual attitudes for an aerobatic pilot.
Right.
Right? It doesn't exist, right? They're all unusual attitudes.
That's a fish.
That's where the aerobatics
water.
come in. We do aerobatics in our Mustang training, in our Texan training. We're not teaching aerobatics here. We're teaching you the airplane by doing aerobatics. So it's a different philosophy.
I like the change in the shift in the context, and that's where that training comes in. It's about sorry guys, but a change in behavior as a result of your experience, right?
There you go.
But you've got to have that experience by coming down to Stallion 51. And
oh yes, please do.
I don't care if you walk through the front door and just peek, right?
It's a museum. Just come on down, check it out. We've got a lot going on. We've got the T6 training, the Mustang training, the L-39 training. Got a gift shop.
I tell you what, that's right. Go through the gift shop, take a right, go upstairs out onto the rail, out onto the balcony, right?
Yep.
And just have
just
a seat.
Watch what's
and maybe a
happening.
pair of binoculars and listen to all that going on.
We get a lot of that.
How can people,
anybody's welcome.
How can people connect with you professionally at Stallion and then personally? What's the website? It's
Stallion51.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
we've got webcams, ramp cams where you can see what's going on during the day.
Awesome.
All the information you need. Give us a call if you want to schedule something. It's going to take a while. Right now is our busy season. You want to call early.
All right. Very good. Well, we're going to just stretch this out a little bit more. So you guys have just developed your website, and you just mentioned some of it, the webcam and everything. So you can visit personally and walk right in. What are the business hours there? 8 o'clock?
Oh yeah.
When do you show up for ground school?
Oh, yeah. Well, some of the guys show up at 7:30. During the summer, it's better to show up earlier because it gets so hot later in the day.
All right. Good deal. Well, we're going to wrap this up then. These guys are giving me the clue that we're finishing up. Yes, very good. So thanks very much for watching us here. We've been with Steve Larmore for Stallion 51, and this is John McLeroy for the Florida Aviation Network. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks.